Hey guys, welcome back to Gluten Free Habit. I'm Linda, and today I'm going to show you how to make the ultimate gluten-free brownie. You might be asking yourself, why is this the ultimate brownie? It's because with the same ingredients, I'll teach you how to make two slightly different brownies. The first brownie is what you see here in this video, and I call it the Crackle Top Brownie because it's a moist brownie with a beautiful, shiny, crackly top. I call the second brownie the Chewy Brownie, and while it's also a moist brownie, it's a little bit chewier and it doesn't have the crackle top. But whichever one you pick, I hope you love it. You can find the full recipe and directions to the ultimate brownie on my website at glutenfreehabit.com. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you'll take a minute to do that now. And don't forget to press the bell icon to turn on notifications so that you won't miss any of my new recipes. As always, make sure your ingredients are gluten-free. And now let's take a look at what you're going to need. You'll need some butter, granulated sugar, light brown sugar, a little milk, vanilla, brown rice flour, white rice flour, cocoa powder, xanthan gum, salt, and a couple of eggs. You'll also need some parchment paper and an 8x8 baking dish. Before we start, let's get a few things ready. Start by cutting a parchment paper to fit across your pan with a little bit hanging over on two edges. You'll use this later to lift the brownies out. And this doesn't have to be perfect. Now rub your pan with a little bit of butter on all sides. And you can use either butter or Crisco here. I prefer butter. And I'm using a paper towel to rub it around, but you can definitely just do this with your fingers. Now lay your parchment into the pan, smoothing it out. And the butter will hold it in nicely. I like to use the parchment because it makes everything just a little bit easier. You can lift it out easier, you can clean the pan easier. But if you don't happen to have parchment, don't worry, your brownies are still going to turn out great. And just fold the extra over the edges. Two sides will be uncovered, and that's just fine. Now preheat your oven to 300 degrees. And let's get started. In a small saucepan, melt your butter over medium heat. And I've sliced my butter up a little bit just to help it melt faster. Add in the granulated sugar and the brown sugar and stir that up really well. And you'll want to stir once in a while until it's perfectly smooth. Continue to let it heat and stir occasionally until it comes to a low simmer. And then remove it from the heat and set it aside as we work on our dry ingredients. Now set out a medium-sized bowl and add all your dry ingredients. Brown rice flour, white rice flour, cocoa powder, salt, and xanthan gum. Whisk that up really well. Now bring over your butter-sugar mixture and give it a really good stir. Really scrape the sides of the pan to get all that sugar so you don't miss anything. Next, add in your milk and vanilla and mix this up really well until it's smooth. The difference between the two brownies that I'm showing you how to make is in the process. So just make sure that if you want to make the Crackle Top Brownie, you're following the steps in this video. And if you'd like to make the Chewy Brownie, you'll find additional directions in the recipe for how to make those. Remember, the ingredients are the same for each brownie, but the steps are a little bit different. And now add in both eggs and stir by hand for a full minute. This helps to create that beautiful crackle top. Another great thing about these brownies is they're going to stay moist for days. Just make sure they're in an airtight container or covered tightly with plastic wrap. Okay, pour this mixture into your dry ingredients. If you're a brownie lover, you might want to check out my mint chocolate brownie bites. I'll leave a link to those at the end of this video. They're the perfect little treat if you like the combination of chocolate and mint. Stir by hand until it's well blended. This recipe also doubles perfectly. Just use a 9 by 13 pan, which is a little bit less than double of an 8 by 8. So you'll wind up with brownies that are even thicker. And I have all the details for that in my recipe at GlutenFreeHabit.com. As you continue to mix, the batter will become shiny and smooth, and that's exactly what you want. And at this point, if you wanted to mix in any walnuts or mini chocolate chips, this is when you would do that, and you would just stir them in gently by hand. Now spread this into the pan carefully. I'm using a spoon here, but it's better to use a rubber spatula so you can get everything out of the bowl. So you'll notice that I'm using a glass pan for these brownies, and I prefer glass because it heats up gradually, and it has nice even heat distribution so that the brownies bake evenly. The bake time and temperature in this recipe is geared towards using a glass pan, so if you're using a different type of pan, you might need to adjust those settings. Make sure to push some batter into the corners of your pan so that the brownies come out level. Alright, perfect. Batter's ready. Let's pop these in the oven. Bake these for about 40 minutes. But remember that every oven is different, so please check your brownies along the way. A toothpick inserted into the center shouldn't look wet, but it does need to have moist crumbs on it still, because the brownies will continue to bake a little bit as they're sitting in the pan before you lift them out. When they're done baking, take them out of the oven and place them on a hot pad. And here they are, straight out of the oven. Don't they look yummy? Now let them sit for 30 minutes without touching them. This will help them firm up just a little bit. After 30 minutes, you can run a knife along the edges where there's no parchment. This will just loosen up the brownies. These smell so good. And now, using the edges of the parchment paper, carefully lift them out of the pan and transfer them over to a cooling rack. When you're moving your brownies over, the top is probably going to crackle even more, which is fine, it just makes it prettier. And here's the hard part, these brownies will be very soft until they cool, so I recommend waiting a couple hours before you slice them. I know this sounds crazy, after all, you took the time to make the brownies, and now you probably just want to eat them. But by waiting, the brownies firm up a little bit and they become slightly chewy, and they're also easier to cut. And in my opinion, that's when the brownies reach their ultimate brownie best. So it definitely pays off if you can wait, but if you can't wait, I promise I won't tell anyone. Okay, once the brownies have cooled, dig in. I'm slicing mine into 9 large brownies, but of course you can make them as large or small as you want. And here's what the Crackle Top Brownie looks like. It's moist and rich, and it has that beautiful shiny crackly top. And here's what the Chewy Brownie will look like in case you decide to make those. So no crackle top on this one. This is the perfect type of brownie to make if you want to frost them, and it'll be a little bit chewier. And both are equally delicious. And of course, now that you've made your brownies, you'll want to make one of my all-time favorite desserts, a hot fudge brownie sundae. All you need to do to make one is just put a scoop of ice cream onto your brownie, Drizzle it generously with hot fudge. Add a little whipped cream. And if you're a nut lover like me, sprinkle on the nuts. And there you go. This is such a delicious dessert, and it's so easy to put together. I really hope you enjoy this recipe, and if you found this video helpful, do me a favor and click the thumbs up down below. And I love hearing from you guys, so don't forget to say hi in the comment section, or tell me which brownie you chose to make and how you liked it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time on Gluten Free Habit.